Welcome to the Thinking Practitioner Podcast,
a podcast where we dig into the fascinating issues, conditions, and quandaries in the massage and manual therapy world today.
I'm Whitney Lowe.
And I'm Til Luchau.
Welcome to the Thinking Practitioner.
Welcome and thank you for joining us where Books of Discovery has been a part of the massage therapy and bodywork world for over 25 years. Nearly 3,000 schools around the globe teach with their textbooks, e-textbooks, and digital resources. Books of Discovery likes to say that learning adventures start here, and they find that same spirit here on the Thinking Practitioner podcast. And they're proud to support our work, knowing that we share the mission to bring the massage and bodywork community thought-provoking and enlivening content that advances our profession.
Instructors of manual therapy education programs can request complimentary copies of Books of Discovery's textbooks for reviewing in your programs, and listeners can explore Books of Discovery's collection of learning resources for anatomy, pathology, kinesiology, physiology, ethics, and business mastery at booksofdiscovery.com, where you, as a Thinking Practitioner listener, can save 15% by entering Thinking at checkout. Hello, Whitney.
Good day, sir. Those of you who are watching us on video today will notice that we did wear the uniform today. We're both dressed similarly today with black turtlenecks on.
I didn't even get that memo, but yeah, that happens. That's good.
It's the Steve Jobs day. So you remember?
Right.
He always used to wear the blue jeans and the black turtlenecks everywhere. So
maybe we need like a Thinking Practitioner merch site or something.
Oh, yeah.
Black turtlenecks and who knows what else. That might be
I got it. Branded headphones.
There you go.
For everybody to listen to us.
Perfect.
Yeah. Well, other than our attire today, let's see. We're going to dive into some things. We want to talk about an article that you wrote a little while back here for Massage and Bodywork magazine called "Is Your Work Valuable?" I liked the concept here, and I'm looking forward to diving into this a little bit. Tell us a little bit more about the article.
It was a fun project. It came a few years after the magazine commissioned me to conduct a large-scale survey, and we got some corporate sponsors, and ABNP published it to their huge list of practitioners. We got over 2,000 massage and bodywork practitioners to participate in this survey, and we were trying to measure what we were calling the psychology of a full practice, what attitudes or behaviors correlated with having this practice size that people wanted. And so then I extracted out some of the key points and wrote a few articles about it. And this one weaves together some of the findings from that large survey, but also with some other research into how the value, perceived value, you can say, perceived value works as a feedback loop between the practitioner and client. Turns out that value isn't just about the results clients get or just about the price you charge. It's a lot more interesting than that.
Yeah, I think, there's so often very strong correlation. We think value equals price. And I think that's one of the great things that you really broke apart here. And I look forward to diving into that a little bit. So in the article, you describe value as having a sort of a complex two-way interrelationship. I thought this was really interesting with results kind of like almost a chicken and egg situation. So unpack that a little bit about the client's initial perception of value and how that shapes the results that they get during their treatments.
If someone comes in expecting or suspecting or thinking what they're going to get from you is good, it's more likely to be good. Mm-hmm. It's not foolproof. Expectations don't determine everything. And sometimes clients get surprised that something's even better or worse than they expected.
Yeah.
But if they come in expecting not much, chances are better they're going to get not much out of working with you. So some of this is about the value question. How much do clients value what we do is partly what they come in with as well.
How do you, I was thinking about this a little bit, how do we create that in advance? Is that in our marketing materials or reputation? What is it that we do to create that perception from the clients in advance?
It's everything we do. You could say everything the client has come in contact with. Yeah, sure. Our marketing materials, the reputation we have out in the community, the ways we respond to them as we're setting them up for their appointment, and then their first impressions. All those things are building expectancy, building the expectations that clients have. This is going to be valuable. It's going to give me what I'm looking for, or I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we go into some of the details, further on, but it comes down to basically every contact the clients have with us. That's the measurement that's being taken, and they all weave in together to create that sense of this is going to be good.
Yeah, yeah. So on that theme sort of expectations, you cite a fascinating placebo study in the article where people were given a fake pain pill and then shocked on the wrist, and I guess several different types of pain pills. On the expensive one, they were told one was more expensive than the others. The expensive one seemed to work better than the discounted one. The same, although they were the same pill.
Well, yeah,
People were getting so.
that's right. It is a fascinating one. The subjects were told they were getting different types of painkillers. They were getting the same sugar pill in both groups. It's about 80 people, studies have about 80 people. The author's name here, Rebecca Waber. I'll put a reference in the show notes here. But they were told, they were divided in two groups. One group was told, you're getting a regularly priced pain pill, a value about $2.50. We're testing its effectiveness. The other group was told, you're getting a discounted pain pills worth he's paid about 10 cents for these pills, they were told.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're the same sugar pill. But it turns out the people that were told they were getting the regular price had a much better pain relief from shocks at all different voltages than the people that were told they got the discounted pain pill.
Yeah, that was reminding me of another study I had read many years ago, and I'll have to look it up. Maybe we can try to look it up and find it and put it in the show notes. That was related to a foot pain issue where they were measuring the relationship between, this is about the time that the real fancy, super expensive Nike Air Jordan tennis shoes were coming out. And they were finding a lot of people getting, some differing levels of injuries associated with these really fancy shoes. And they did an experiment where they had people step down on a piece of rubber off of a platform, and then they had a force plate measuring the impact of how they were stepping down on that, because they were having a higher incidence of injuries in these really expensive shoes, which seemed like the flip side of the way it should be. And so they had them step down on this, different coloring pieces of rubber, telling them like this one piece of rubber is like a, Kmart tennis shoe. It's really cheap tennis shoe. The second piece of rubber that's colored differently was a medium grade shoe, and the fancy, Nike Air Jordan shoe was a different color, and just measured how strongly they stepped down on these different pieces of rubber. And they actually were stepping down on the rubber a lot harder in what they thought was the much more cushy tennis shoe rubber. Of course, not being told that all three of those pieces of rubber were exactly the same. They were just colored differently.
And then the presumption being that because they were stomping into the expensive shoe, they were injuring themselves more?
They thought they had better cushion, so they were just doing a little bit more vigorous type of thing, stomping into it a bit more. So that was sort of the takeaway from that.
Okay, that's fascinating, because that has implications for what we're talking about too.
Yeah.
Do people lean into us when they perceive us as having value or having more potential to help them?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I would think so.
I would think
Yeah.
so too. I want my clients leaning in. I want them stepping in for what
Yeah.
I do, for sure.
Right.
Okay, and good example. But yeah, the takeaway from that could be that the more people pay, the more likely they are to get something out of it. I don't know if I would go there, honestly. And this study has been cited in the therapy world, psychotherapy world, as well as a couple of studies from the 70s for evidence that, quote, you need to pay for your therapy for it to be valuable to you.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out the studies from the 70s weren't that well done, and this study here isn't definitive about that either. What does seem to matter in the research that's done since is it's more about the value that the client or patient puts on the therapy or massage or body work. It's
Yeah.
the value they put on it, and price, the amount they pay, is just one factor.
Yeah.
Just one factor. And because money is so different for different people, it's really hard to put it down to even expensive or not expensive. Put it down to
Yeah.
price.
I do think price really gets a lot of excess focus from us when we're trying to compare, like, just in the massage and manual therapy community, my cost of doing massage versus somebody going to a franchise, for example, and like getting a much less expensive treatment. And then that gets perceived as being lesser quality or whatever, but it
Yes.
may or may not be, because the value, there may be a whole different value proposition going on there.
Well, price is one, and for some people, price is a big factor. For others, it's not. I'm thinking of early in my bodywork career, I remember being approached by a 14-year-old kid who really wanted to get the work I was doing, but was going to pay for it himself and couldn't afford my rates then. I says, okay, so what would you think you could pay? He said, how about $14? I'm 14 years old. And that was great. And we had the best series of sessions working together. And he was so into it. He valued
Yeah.
it so much. On the other hand, working in, not to make too big a generalizations about money, but working in Aspen, which is a very well-heeled resort town here in Colorado, and people where money was not an object,
Yeah.
treated the sessions like that too.
Mm-hmm.
Like they wouldn't show up, or they would, get annoyed if I'd ask them to move their foot up and down a little bit, or it was just, they were basically dropping their bodies off to me like their other service providers.
Right. That's
wanted to be
right.
taken care of,
Yeah.
and they hadn't really put any skin in the game, so to speak.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Well, talking about that thing and sort of like the price thing a little bit, you mentioned that sort of discount motivated customers are much less likely to become regular customers or to refer clients, like if they're really just looking for that deal, that special deal. So what's happening in that situation there? Is
There's
there
decent data on that around do people that come to you because of a discount stay with you? And there's exceptions, but by and large, not as much as people that start at your regular price. And it's the steeper the discount, the more the drop off. And that's been not only seen in studies in other business fields, but the hubbub or the talk that people do in our field validates that as well. They talk about how I think Groupon is pretty old news now, but when this article was written, there was a lot of people doing Groupon experiments, and you could basically, I think Groupon was just flat half off. Give it for half off, and we'll give you all the people you can take, or something like that. And it was like that. People's practices were filling up with these half off people, but they were one and done. They'd come and get their half price session and never show up again.
Yeah.
It was exciting for a while that all this business could come in if that's what people were looking for. But the takeaway from most people was that was a lot of work, and it didn't really translate into people making the connection to the work that we need to have ongoing relationships and the fulfilling interactions and the results that people want out of what we're doing.
Yeah. So in there too, you mentioned some signs of poor client perceived value and frequent cancellations, no referrals, and all that kind of stuff. I think coming from, I've heard a fair amount of buzz on social media of that kind of thing as well. That's probably following up with those same ideas.
Yeah, there's a list there. Let me say one more thing about discounts. It's like, if we just think about it for a second, do we want to be working with someone who sees us as a deal, as a cheap thing, or do you want to work with somebody who's really is valuing what they're doing with you and willing to do what it takes to be a part of that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the point of the article right there. Now, it's not to say never discount, because there's times to do that and times not to. For sure, like my 14-year-old story, or times. The thing is too, if I value something, if I value my own work, I can be generous with it.
Yeah.
If I'm giving it away to try to get people to come, that doesn't really communicate value. That communicates that I don't value it either. I'm just trying to get it happening.
What do you think about the whole idea of kind of going back to price for a second, of putting a higher price on something if you feel like your own practice or your own skill sets, or you've been doing this for X number of years, really warrant a higher price in the community than what is the sort of general going thing. Do you think that translates into do you have to educate people about that perceived value, that why your price is higher, or
I'm not the right person to ask. I really want to acknowledge my privilege there of having done this work for 40 years in this community, more largely. And then in the visibility I have doing the teaching I do, it's been many, many years since I've been in the position of needing to generate clients. And if I was, and I coach a lot of people that do that, so I'm familiar with those quandaries and situations and the difficulties sometimes with the challenges.
Yeah.
But do I think I need to explain why my rates are more? No, I don't. Now, if I wasn't getting the work that I wanted, If I didn't have as many clients as I wanted, I might think about it different. But even then, I wouldn't be trying to explain it, because as soon as I start to explain it, I'm defending something.
Yeah.
If someone directly asked me, why are your rates more than others, then I might say, well, it's actually, in my case, reflecting the rates that other people who've been practicing the amount of time I have charged.
Yeah.
I
So,
charge a lot, but I don't charge. Honestly, there's so much bigger range. I'm not comfortable with some of the prices that people at the upper end of the spectrum, even here in my town, are charging.
mhm.
I want to find a price that feels right to me,
Yeah.
and that is in comparison to what other people with my experience charge, but maybe I'm in the middle lower part of that
Yeah.
zone. That's where I'm comfortable personally.
And on the flip side of that, and then let me just
Yeah.
kind of go on the flip side for just a second, because on the lower, and if you talk about setting prices lower so that more people are accessible to you as potentials. I know a lot of people grapple with this, like if prices are too high, there's a lot of people I won't be able to serve because they just don't have a lot of money and they still need what I can offer them. I think that's something that I know we grapple with that a lot, both in the, a lot in the education realm as well.
Yeah,
Well, where you set the prices for the courses and things that we're offering. And I always try to acknowledge that this is a profession where people don't make very, large sums of money. So
yes,
these things are expensive when they have to come to do courses and things like that, and try to,
that's right. That's right.
make it a good value and perceived value, but also recognize that there's people with
There's
a lot of limited resources.
Yeah, and that's right. You and I are probably always looking for that sweet spot with our classes we offer.
Yeah.
And it's important for me to be affordable in that realm too, and I got to have a viable business, which means charging
Yeah.
reasonable price too. And it's probably similar as a private practice. And different people feel differently about it.
Mhm.
I didn't try to correlate uh, well, did we? I was gonna say we didn't try to correlate like arrogance with practice success, but we did try to look for attitudes that correlated more closely with having the practice people wanted. Arrogance wasn't one of them, but
Uh-huh.
confidence was.
Yeah.
Confidence really did correlate with people having the size practice they want. And who's to say if it's chicken and egg?
Yeah.
You get confident when you see people responding. You get this feedback loop, and people respond when you're confident too.
Yeah. Right. In the article, you had set aside these sort of 9 ways of communicating value.
Yeah.
Um, a number of them were about logistics, just linens, decor, punctuality, and all that kind of stuff. And I don't think people think about that a lot. I really like that you highlighted some of those things, as this is all part of the value of what you're producing with it. It's the big picture of what you're offering as the service.
Things like linens, the ways that we respond to them, how quickly we respond to them. I'm looking over the list myself here. Quality and condition of your workspace, what you wear, your website or social media presence, etc. That's, like you said, that's details, but those are giving people value clues right off the bat.
Yeah.
And whether they're thinking about it or looking at it or not, they are forming of people rank things.
Yeah.
We rank our social interactions. They're ranking you based on those little clues that they're picking up
Yeah.
unconsciously or not.
Yeah, in the last episode, we just had the 50-year retrospective that I did with Benny Vaughn. He spoke about early on in his practice spending a lot more money to get a professional level hydrocollator system in his office instead of just using a crock pot, which is what a lot of people were doing for heating up hot packs and things like that. That's not really what a crock pot is designed for. It's designed for cooking, but yeah, you could use it for that. But the perception of the quality of the service was reflected, he thought, in having professional grade equipment in there. And I think that's exactly kind of what you're hitting at here.
Both perhaps for the clients, we don't know. Sometimes people are more comfortable in a homey environment,
Yeah.
but for sure for us, what helps us feel confident in the way we're receiving people. And I can imagine something like a high grade hydroculator being supportive to the practitioner as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should I go through those 9 ways? Should I list?
Yeah, let's
Wait,
do, because there was some good stuff in there.
Yeah, the first one was communication. that's treating each communication as important, every text, every reach out. The other one was logistics and details, the things we mentioned already, attire, office decor, paperwork. Professionalism, practice attentiveness, presence, boundaries, etc. Keeping time agreements. Again, you keeping your time agreements communicates that my time is valuable.
Yeah.
And going over is interesting, going over time. So it says you're going over your appointed time can communicate that your time isn't valuable.
When you say your time, are we talking about the practitioner or the
Practitioner's time.
client? Uh-huh.
Practitioner's time.
Yeah.
And certainly the other way around too, but yeah, I'm talking about the practitioner's time. If I consistently go a lot more than I advertise or say or announce,
Yeah.
not only does it say I'm not really keeping an overview of what's happening, what needs to be done, but it's saying my time isn't worth much. I'm willing just to delay.
Yeah. And, we may not think about this much because there may be this idea of like, and again, we'll maybe get into this a little bit more about the whole idea of how we charge for what we do, because we do often charge on a time-based model in terms of, instead of a results-based model, like you just, a session costs X amount, but what we tend to do is say your cost is X amount per hour. That's, we're getting charged per hour. But I have gone into sessions before where I booked a session with somebody and it was, so-and-so, this was the cost of so-and-so per hour. And I made arrangements to be somewhere after the session was over because I thought that's how long the massage was going to last. And the massage therapist thought it would be great to give me a whole bunch of extra time, and they may be late to something, so.
That's good practice to check in. Says, hey,
Yeah.
we have the possibility to go over. It's going to be the same rate. Anywhere you need to be.
Yeah.
That's just a great check-in. And I mean, I drew this hard line, like you're not valuing your time if you go over. Let me say, I go over a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
It's hopefully not a whole lot. And if it is a whole lot of time, it's a few minutes here and there. If it's a whole lot of time, I'm having a value discussion with my client about it. So it's like, I'd really like to spend some more time. I'm not going to charge you anymore, but I'd like to do that because I feel like we're getting somewhere, or whatever the statement would be. And we get agreement about that.
Yeah.
And that's me. That feels like me being generous. That feels like me saying, I really want to do this. I'm conscious of not wanting to create that expectation every time with everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm conscious about, like you said, getting buy-in and doing it for a reason, not just because of habit.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Did we get through?
Where did we leave off? No.
We're halfway through somewhere there.
Yeah. Next one, prepare for each session. Like really look in. If you know someone's coming in with a condition you've never heard about, take some time and go to the Thinking Practitioner podcast and listen to the episode that talks about that, or one of the other many resources you can find about that. But yourself coming rested, ready, quieted in yourself, all those kind of things really communicates the value of what you do to people. This one's interesting. Ask your client to invest some effort in their work with you. And that's the skin in the game question.
Yeah.
For example, you might have them articulate their desires and goals. Just asking someone to take some time to describe those is asking them to put some time into the interaction, rather than just coming in and lying down at your table and expecting you to take it from there.
Yeah. And I think a lot of these things have a lot of power in creating a greater sense of value around those sessions, because other people in the client's experience of the healthcare system or the care system or whatever it is, don't get that kind of personalized attention of really wanting to know, what do you really want to have happen here? What's going to be a successful outcome for you? That's
It's really true.
very helpful for them. I think people really see a lot of value in that.
There is, and there's an art to it, because a lot of people don't know how to describe it. But asking the questions and guiding people into identifying for themselves what's important, that they really communicates respect for their time. Is saying that we're going to focus on this, and it gives you a framework to say, was this valuable at the end of the day too?
Yeah.
But other things that we ask clients to invest in, like working within our scheduling parameters, and not to say that you need to be rigid about it, but it communicates something different if someone calls me and says, okay, so when do you want to meet? As opposed to say, yeah, I have openings at 1:30, 3, and 4:30.
Yeah.
Whatever the answer might be. That's a different value answer.
Yeah.
Number 7, charge a price that implies worth.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you want to flex on that. That's your parameter, your prerogative. But that helps avoid the discount addiction too.
Yeah.
Show that others value your work. And this is edgy for a lot of practitioners because most of us didn't, we're not into money. We're not into being that commercial. We're not into like being really salesy or something like that. And to actually show that other people value our work can feel like boastful or feel arrogant or something like that. And this is saying there's it's still valuable. I mean, be a little bit like that, or find a
Yeah.
way to like testimonials on your website, framed thank you notes on your wall from clients,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, find some way to show that others value your work too, because that is another the social piece is a big part of that contextual effect. If
Yeah.
you see other people valuing something, you're a lot more likely to value it yourself too.
Yeah. Yep. The whole group think. Yeah.
Yeah, the last one, again, not unbiased on my side, but I say show evidence of ongoing learning and professional development.
Mm-hmm.
Let clients know about your continuing education studies and share them on your site or your social media. Let people know that you're continuing to train or that you've learned some new things. Not only is that a way to make contact with people so you stay present in their life and they think about you when they need something, but it does increase or increment their sense of your value or what you might be able to offer.
Yeah. I want to take off on that just a little bit here too. When you're talking about the education thing and doing some other training things, you had noted that the survey data that you all did showed a strong correlation between practitioner thinking clients value their work and being satisfied with their practice size, how big your practice was. But it also mentioned there saying that the more in-person CE hours correlated with personal practice satisfaction. I'm guessing this is the practitioners themselves.
Practitioners themselves.
Yeah.
How satisfied are you with your practice as a practitioner?
Yeah.
Was really strongly correlated with how many in-person CE hours you did. The more CE that you did in that realm, the more likely you were to be satisfied with your practice size.
Yeah.
I don't know, again, chicken and egg, who knows? We didn't try to tease out causation.
Yeah.
But it goes to show that if we're willing to invest in what we do, that gets reflected in the way we feel about it and the way it gets perceived by other people too.
Yeah. And I think you also mentioned there, that may have been in the study too, that the more online CE hours correlated with less satisfaction from practitioners. Is that right?
That it did. The couple caveats there. This was pre-COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And so the data might be different now that online education has taken so much more of a foreground and is better than it used to be. And the correlation was not nearly as strong as it was for the in-person. But it did show that if the people that were least satisfied with their practice did more online.
Yeah.
And you could imagine that, at least in this pre-COVID era, that trying to do the easy CE might correlate with valuing your own practice less and being valued less.
Yeah. I would be quite tempted to lean in that direction, that needs a lot of teasing apart, because I think there's a lot of variables in there that might determine, how those things are being looked at and perceived. Because, again, and there's some other inherent bias things that are in that. For example, the person who lives in Casper, Wyoming, doesn't get a lot of chance for a lot of hands-on CE courses, maybe because it's a bit more of a remote location. I'm picking on Casper, Wyoming. I don't know if we have any listeners there in Casper, but
we have some students there. I think they have pretty full practices, so I don't know how that works.
All right. Love to hear it. But again, the point being, in more remote or geographical locations that aren't the big metropolitan city center areas, there's not as many opportunities for in-person CE courses, and some of those people might have to depend a lot more on online continuing education. So,
and I wouldn't expect that to correlate with practice satisfaction, really.
Yeah.
But in that sense, it really does need some teasing apart. And speaking of implicit bias, again, I should just once again name, I teach a lot of online education, and I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
You're getting some right now. In fact, listeners, you're listening to a podcast that is online education.
That's right. Yeah, there we go.
Go figure.
Yeah. So then in the article, you also mentioned that practitioners who receive the work that they do more often tend to be more satisfied with their practice. So, that whole getting some work done makes you feel better about the things that you're doing as well here.
A lot of us have that belief
Yeah.
that if if our students or ourselves invest in receiving the work that we give, we're more likely to value it. That's kind of an assumption that I have as a teacher. And it was nice to see it in the data, to actually see the people that said, yeah, I regularly get the kind of work I do, were the ones that had the most satisfaction with their practice sites too.
Yeah.
And the opposite was true too. Yeah, I never get that stuff. Didn't have the practices they wanted either.
Yeah. Right. And the section on professional development suggests that visible signs, like you mentioned this earlier, CE certificates on the wall, mentioning your studies to clients and all that kind of stuff has a significant indicator about, the value. I had a funny story about this.
Mm.
I wondered how this really tweaked or changed this session's outcomes, but I had a friend of mine who I went to high school with many years ago, said she went to get a massage from a person in her hometown and went into the treatment room and he looked on the wall and there was a nice certificate on the wall. And she was looking at that certificate like it had my name on it, signed on it. She was, oh my God, I know him from high school. It was a friend of mine from high school. And this student had taken one of my courses or had taken our whole certificate program and got me wondering, how did that tweak the perceived value of that session of knowing the person
Whitney in high school.
did the training? That's right. Yeah. The I knew him when sort of thing, so yeah.
That's a cute story.
Yeah.
That's what we give certificates for, not only to document your CE hours, but so that you can display them if you'd like to, or put them on your website, whatever you want. And again, some of that's personal taste and style, but the question to ask yourself, listeners, how do I communicate to my clients that I value my own knowledge base, my own education?
Yeah. And I would say that there is an indication that a lot of people do at least perceive that there is some value in showing those things. I had another situation in which a person went to see a practitioner and saw a certificate on the wall from our company, and it looked a little funny, and they took a picture of it and sent it to me. And I said, I looked that person up in their database. No, they did not take our courses. And basically they had taken a picture off of social media of somebody else's certificate and put their name on it and put it on the wall,
What a compliment to you that you're the one they wanted to counterfeit and forge. That brings a lot of cachet, your name does.
Yeah.
But that's interesting too. What a trip.
Yeah. I was told this years ago by somebody at a massage school. This was back when I was, my book was being used in a lot of massage schools back in the early 2000, mid 2000s or something like that. Somebody told me that my book was the most stolen book from the library. Because that's an interesting little stat there.
Put that a little seal on the cover.
Right. She was the most stolen book. So there's value maybe in there. So
that's great.
Yeah. So getting back here for a second, when you recommend things like testimonials, reviews, and the framing the notes, you mentioned that earlier, how that also certainly extends into having others value your work. It's a visible thing that people can see, and I think putting that kind of stuff on your website, putting that stuff in your promotional materials.
We should mention online reviews too.
Exactly. Yeah. Because there is that thing, we can say everything till the cows come home about how wonderful we think our practice is or our offerings are to people. But when somebody else says it holds significantly more weight because you're thinking okay, I can identify with that person in terms of, not the person just sort of trying to blow their own horn, et cetera.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's okay to ask for a review. It's okay to ask for a recommendation.
Yeah.
Especially with the clients that are really grateful to you. Many of them will feel like this is a way that I can actually show that and express that to you.
Yeah.
You'll find, if you don't do that already, then you'll find a way that feels right to you to do. But it's usually the practitioner is much more comfortable than they need to be.
Yeah.
And it is important to find the right tone and style because uh, not everybody has the same level of commercial orientation. Some of us don't want to be off on the deep end of that continuum. Maybe the thing to do is ask ourselves who does hit this just right in our mind? Who out there do we know in the world, anywhere in the world of entertainment or selling or bodywork or whatever, that hits this promotional note at the right level for us? That doesn't just make us want to go the opposite direction.
Yeah.
And then look at that a little bit. What do they do that makes it feel okay? How can I bring some of those qualities or skills into how I talk about what I do as well?
Yeah, and you hit on an interesting thing there too, and you mentioned this in the article when you the article even opened with saying something like beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and talking about the very subjective nature of this, because not everything is going to be something that each person is going to resonate with. So, given that subjectivity, like how much agency do we actually have in influencing that client's perceptions? You know, what
Can we,
limits there?
can we actually help someone value us if they don't? Probably not in an absolute sense at all. But the more of these points we hit, the more likely it is that they are going to value us. We can't decide how someone feels and make them feel that.
Yeah.
But it's pretty clear that if we don't value ourselves, they're not very likely to either.
Yeah. Yeah. So if we look at some of these things, like your own the research data in your own practice, what do you notice about practitioners who are successfully communicating value versus some of those that maybe aren't doing it so well? Do you see any good examples that really highlight that?
It's a lot of it is confidence. A lot of it is communicating,
Yeah.
not over explaining, not having to justify, but just stating the offer, just stating what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of attention put on the elevator speech or explaining or defending, or honestly, those occasions come up very seldom where that's even necessary.
Yeah.
Most people are coming to you because of a recommendation through someone else, or because of what you've already put up perhaps on your outgoing publicity, or because they come through an employer. I mean, a lot of this is assuming that you're in private practice, but many of these apply too if you're working for another employer.
Yeah.
And the practitioners who successfully communicate that they're valuable basically do it inside out, basically have found ways to nurture and believe in and trust their own value. And if at the times we don't, I should say that, not I'm about to say if you don't, but that's all of us. We all have moments that we don't or ways that we don't.
Yeah.
But the times that we don't, that's a place for a little session, you can say. And so in quotes or metaphorically, a time to attend to our needs around how we could value what we do more, what's needed there, some reassurance, some skill building, some reality check, some rest, who knows what it is. And it's sounding kind of like the taking care of ourselves, tending ourselves thing that we tend to be not so great about in this profession. But that's probably what it comes down to. It probably comes down to tending to ourselves in the ways that help us value not only what we do, but our time and this gift of a work that we get to give.
Yeah. You know, I was having a conversation with somebody recently about promotional practices with things that they were doing on their site, and said, I think one of the most undervalued promotional methods for our field that people just don't tend to utilize is personalized video on their websites, for example. Massage and body work is a very intimate experience between two individuals, and you want to have some kind of, I mean, there's probably a lot of, well, I don't know about a lot, but a fair degree of just apprehension and uncertainty when you go see somebody you don't know for this kind of experience. And there's a lot of, like, maybe not quite feeling so confident yourself as the client coming in there. But if you had a chance to see this person, speak directly to the camera and talk to you about who they are, what they do, and why they're going to have a great experience with you, I think that could be a hugely powerful thing, introducing the sense of value for the session by that person really getting to connect with you beforehand.
I can
You know,
see that.
people,
And
yeah,
I can see the video could provide that. Of course, it's terrifying for most people to actually
that's the
talk
problem. Yeah, that's
talk
the
to a
problem.
camera about what
Yeah,
they do in their
yeah,
practice. What do I say? Oh my God.
yeah,
And I know for myself, I don't know how many thousands of hours I've been making videos now, but I would say if I was just starting out, get someone you like and you know that likes you to hold the camera
yeah.
or to
That's a good
just
idea.
tell it
Yeah,
to. Because don't do what I did, which is like get my 14-year-old son to hold the camera
right.
because he was like rolling his eyes over the top. He would pop. Oh my God, I can't believe you said that. And you could see it in my face. You could see the
Yeah,
impact of me, like,
yeah.
putting on a brave face, but
It's like,
here I am
oh man.
video.
Yeah,
But no, get someone who loves you to
yeah.
hold the camera, or imagine talking, or put their picture up there, or next to your phone,
I
or
like
your
that.
dresser drawer,
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah,
Talk to them about it, and
yeah.
don't be afraid to do it a few times, and get advice, get feedback,
Mm.
and find someone who cares about you and you're comfortable with to actually look at what you do in terms of not just that video, but in your practice, and point out the places where you could be valuing yourself even more, or could come across even
Yeah,
more value.
yeah. I like that. I like that. So if a practitioner like, and I would encourage you go back and read this article. It's a really good article. Um, if a person read this and wanted to start somewhere practical tomorrow, like do something to really help working on enhancing their own sense of value in their practice or their client's sense of value about what they're doing. Um, do you have like a one thing kind of thing or a place that they would start? What's maybe one of the best places to get going with that? How do they get going?
It might be as simple as there's some practical suggestions in the article. Finding the one you think you could do, because the it's like the exercise thing. The exercise you do is going to be the most valuable to you. The change you make is going to be the most valuable one to you. Some of these might be a big stretch. It might terrify you to think about making a video and putting it out there.
Yeah.
So don't
Like,
start with that one. Start with something you can do. So there's so many ways that we can
hmm
tend to ourselves. I think it might start there
yeah.
in terms of both our bodies, our energy levels, our relationships, our education, our knowledge, all those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Tending to our practice, because that nurturing or care we put into our practice really does get reflected and seen and noticed and felt by the clients, whether they're aware of it or not.
hmm Yeah.
And tend to our skills.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's good, which is a great thing that people are doing listening to the podcast if they're still with us after all this period of time here, right?
Yeah.
I had a student in one of my classes last week who said he's listened to every episode that we have produced, and like kudos for hanging in there and listening for that long.
Wow.
So,
We should send him a certificate to keep it on his wall.
indeed, yeah, we'll do
Do
that. Okay. So, if you got a one kind of key takeaway here of best, most important things to share with everybody, what would that kind of be?
It would, I mean, the key is do it all or be available to all of it.
Yeah.
But one thing is like there's a lot of things. That's the one thing. But I think just to summarize the key points we talked about, it's like the value people have for us gets created in the relationship. It's not
Yeah.
just based on the results you give. It's not
Yeah.
just based on your ability to answer a text. It's all that together. It's a
Yeah.
reciprocal feedback loop that
Yeah.
generates that perception in your relationship.
Yeah.
And genuinely valuing your own work is going to have the biggest impact on how much
Mhm.
other people do too.
Yeah.
It shows up in lots of little ways, like how you prepare, how you communicate, how you hold your boundaries, how you keep learning.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that really hits a strong point for me too. Is just that part of having that extend through everything that you do. There's a reason that you do all these little fine point things to make every little thing be part of the whole bigger picture. And for me, a lot of what I got out of it too was just the critical value and importance of the confidence level that people exude from what they're doing. That says so much about supporting the value that you create, whatever is the value, the price point, the perception of how you want people to view what you're doing, your confidence level, and being able to accomplish what you say you're all about. That I think that makes so much of a greater impact there.
Yeah, making me remember my first website, which I made in 1999, And the web designer I was working with says, no, you need testimonials. That's just a part of a website. I was like, what? I never had testimonials. He says, yeah, go ask people for them. I was really reluctant, but he almost like put a halt on the project until I had that for him.
Oh, interesting.
And it was a good exercise for me as a practitioner and teacher at that point. And what I got back was really generous, warm, and validating. And then I remember writing recommendations or testimonials or things like that for people. And one guy says, I actually loved what you wrote for me so much. I printed it out and carried it in my wallet. And when I was having a bad day, I'd sit down and read it.
Uh-huh.
So there is like this way that getting reassured, getting revalidated can come through that asking other people for their recommendations and feedback too.
I love that. I love that. I'm going to do that next time I'm having one of those days of like, well, what am I doing here? Kind of like, I need to go read some testimonials, remind myself why I'm doing this sort of thing.
That's right.
Yeah. Excellent. So for those that didn't get a chance to read this at the outset, where can people find the article?
It's on Massage and Bodywork digital edition, and we'll put it in our show notes, put a direct link there, and then we'll put our YouTube links and other things like that too that'll get you back to the actual article and these resources we've been talking about too.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Nice.
Well, thanks.
Good to talk with you.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing the article and also the ideas around this. These are some kind of, I think, fascinating, subtle fine points about what makes a practice great for people that don't get talked about so much. They don't really kind of get as much buzz. So I think that's great.
Pleased. Yeah, pleased to be able to talk to you about it. I learned so much in this project, and it's great to be able to share it.
Yeah.
And we should thank ABMP because they support our podcast. They're the ones that commissioned that large survey. They're hosting that article. They are the premier association for dedicated massage and bodywork practitioners like you. When you join ABMP, you're not just getting industry-leading liability insurance, you're getting practical resources designed to support your career. From free top-tier continuing education and quick reference apps like Pocket Pathology and 5-Minute Muscles, ABMP equips you with the tools you need to succeed and grow your practice.
And ABMP is committed to elevating the profession with expert voices, fresh perspectives, and invaluable insights through their CE courses, the ABMP podcast, and Massage and Bodywork magazine, featuring industry leaders like my co-host Til here and his wonderful articles. Thinking Practitioner, and I do a few things in there too. Right. Thinking Practitioner listeners like you can get exclusive savings on ABMP membership at abmp.com/thinking. So join the best and expect more from your professional association. So again, thanks to everyone for hanging out with us today. We do thank you to all of our listeners and our sponsors. You can stop by our sites for the video, show notes, transcripts, and any extras. You can find that over on my site at academyofclinicalmassage.com. Till where will they find that for you?
Those are all on my site at advanced-trainings.com as well. And we want to hear from you. We want to hear your ideas or input or feedback about the show. Just email us at info@thethinkingpractitioner.com or look for us on social media and YouTube. I am at my name, Til Luchau. Whitney, where can people find you?
And people can find me under my name as well, Whitney Lowe, on the social channels as well. So we'd really appreciate it if you would rate us also on Spotify or Apple Podcast or wherever you happen to listen. It's one of the main ways that helps other people find the show. So we certainly do appreciate that. So
there we go. Ask people to value.
There we go. Value what to share. That's sharing the value. So very good. So thank you again for joining us here. Good to see you, sir, again, and we'll chat soon. And please share the word. Tell a friend, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Whitney.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.